Well, hello, young people and those who are young at heart. We are here today for our first in a series of new videos called A Cuppa With, and we have our very first guests for A Cuppa With. We have Alistair and Carys from Inverclyde Street Pastors, and they are here today to answer some questions that I've got for them. So I'm just going to dive straight in, and we are coming to Alistair first. And the very first question we've got for you, Alistair, is who are Inverclyde Street Pastors?
That's a really good question, and thanks for the opportunity to share, Jen. Really appreciate it. Inverclyde Street Pastors are a team of Christians who've decided to work together in Inverclyde to bring the message of the church and of Jesus out onto the streets and not be stuck behind the doors of the church. So we want to take the message of God's love and Jesus' love for us, and we want to take it to people where people are at. We understand that people don't necessarily want to come into a church building, and so we want to take the church to the people. And the best time to meet young people is usually at night time. It's usually outside Word Up or something like that. So our role is to try and just share a wee bit of God's love by being there when people need us. We don't judge people, we don't condemn people, we don't make any qualifications for what they're doing. All we ask them, all we do is actually care, listen and help. We care for them, we listen to their stories, and we try and help them if they need a bit of help to get home. So the Inverclyde Street Pastors, what are we? We're just a group of Christians who are trying to show a bit of God's love by being out in the streets when people really need us.
That's great. Thank you very much, Alistair. So, Carys, Alistair has told us a little bit about what Inverclyde Street Pastors do, but maybe you could tell us just a little bit more about what Inverclyde Street Pastors do.
Yeah, so actually Inverclyde Street Pastors do lots of different things. So we patrol the streets of Greenock, and we kind of just chat to people on the streets, so outside the different pubs and the clubs and things like that. And we meet people of just all different kind of backgrounds and all different ages as well. Sometimes we encounter doormen, police, we speak to them as well. We just kind of ask them if they're okay, how they're doing, that kind of thing. So the whole aim is to be a friendly, non-confrontational presence. And if anyone needs any help or any kind of assistance, so for instance, quite often we'll come across a person who's quite drunk and things like that, and maybe they're on their own, they've kind of lost their friends, so we would kind of help them get into taxis. We also pick up bottles that we find on the street because they can be used as a weapon, and we just put them in the bin. And there's different things we hand out, so we always carry with us a backpack, and it's got all different things, so bottles of water, flip-flops, space blankets, and we just hand them out to people as and when. The flip-flops are really are quite amazing because we come across many young women who are wearing the high heel shoes, and they kind of hurt their feet after a while when they take their shoes off, and that's quite dangerous if there's glass on the ground or just even needles or things like that. That doesn't happen regularly, but we just hand out flip-flops in case they need them, and it's amazing to see their expression. They're so grateful and so thankful. It's just a tiny thing. And then so I was going to speak a little bit about like a typical patrol that we would do. So we've got a base upstairs above the bank in the town centre, and we walk around the town centre for a while. We kind of chat to different people that we would see and things like that, and then we would go back to our base. We have a break, have a cup of tea. About 1 p.m. or so, we would drive up to Gurrock, and we wait for people coming out of the Cleats bar. I said 1 p.m, I meant 1 a.m, 1 in the morning. And so when they're coming out, when we talk to them, and then we would drive back to Greenock, we maybe have another break, and then we wait for people coming out of Word Up, and we wait till more or less everyone's kind of cleared, and then we kind of go home, usually around 4:30 in the morning. So that's sort of a typical patrol and what we get up to.
Thank you very much, Carys. I can tell you, I know that those flip-flops are very much appreciated. I've been there and I've worn my dancing shoes and I have benefited from those flip-flops. So you kind of mentioned already, Alistair, a bit of the motivation behind why Inverclyde Street Pastors do what you do, but can you just maybe speak to that a wee bit more about why is it that Inverclyde Street Pastors are doing these patrols and helping people in this way?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, happy to elaborate on that. Our motivation's got to be one of love, and there's no other reason for us being out. We're volunteers. We don't get paid for it. So we are honestly trying to just to reflect something of what God's done in our lives to those that we come in contact with by doing very simple things like Carys said, giving out a pair of flip-flops or providing a bottle of water. So we're not trying to do anything extra. We're certainly not trying to preach to people. We're certainly not trying to say you must become a Christian. But we know that God's heart and love for people in the streets is just the same, no matter where you are and what you do. So we really want to try and just show some of that. And there's wee practical things we can do to help. The overriding thing for me though is what we're trying to do is bring people together and make sure that they feel that they are isolated. We want to be there for them. And it's an amazing number of times, as Carys said, where people get split up from their mates and just find that they're on their own. We want to be there for them in a time like that. We want to be there for them when they're in perhaps their greatest difficulty, that they possibly have too much to drink and they are all over the place, emotionally, physically. You'd be amazed at the number of people who just have, because they are drunk, they just do things that they would never even think of doing when they're sober. So our motivation there is just to be there as a church, be there for people where they're at. The wonderful thing for me about this work is that this is one of the few areas of Inverclyde where churches are actually working together. You know, we represent probably about 9 or 10 different churches. So in effect, the street pastors have brought churches together to work together, and we're doing something in the community that we're all doing together that perhaps one church couldn't do on its own, which is absolutely fantastic. The other great thing I think we're doing for Inverclyde is actually helping anti-sectarianism, because in the recent years, we started off in 2010, and we've been going since 2010. About 4 years ago, we actually brought on board our first Roman Catholic street pastor. And we did at one time have 3 Roman Catholic street pastors. What we are doing is actually trying to broaden the scope of the church. So we're not saying it's us and them, it's Catholic and Protestant. We're saying the church is working together to provide a service to the people in Inverclyde. And to my mind, that's one of the great things that we are doing. We are actually showing an example to the town that we can work together. We might go to different churches, we might have different views on things, but we can put those views aside and work together for the benefit of the people of Inverclyde, especially the young people when they're out on a night out.
Yeah, it's brilliant just hearing a bit about what God is doing in and through Inverclyde Street Pastors, just bringing, denominations, breaking down denominational barriers really, and bringing people together for a common cause of serving, the Inverclyde community. I apologise, my little Pucho has decided to jump on my laptop lead, which is the joys of working from home, right? So he's now on my lap. I don't know if you can, here you go, here's Elvis. Elvis has invaded our interview, or our cuppa with Inverclyde Street Pastors. So something else that I was interested to know was really whether you guys might be able to share a memorable moment or experience that you have had during Inverclyde Street Pastors, during a patrol, whether that's something you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many different things that I could talk about. Actually, I became a street pastor to begin with in Stirling when I was at university, and about, I want to say 5 years ago. So I've got and I was there for 4 years throughout my university career. So I was there actually longer than I have been a street pastor here in Inverclyde. So one of the things that is interesting about street pastors is that sometimes you only meet a person once, and then other times there's like regular people that you see week to week, or we only go over once a month, but you see them all the time. And I remember a person that we met, and he was just a very broken man when we met him to begin with. I was there with a person called Anne, and we were just struck by he just kind of unburdened himself to us and told us his story and things that had happened in his life. And he was sleeping rough at the time. He was kind of estranged from his family and these different things, and it was just a really heartbreaking story. And we saw him over a period of maybe about a year. We didn't see him all the time, so I remember we would see him a little while, maybe like 2 or 3 times in a row, and then we wouldn't see him for months. And about maybe 6 months later or a year later, we saw this gentleman again, and we recognised him because we remember how his story had touched our hearts, and how we just wanted the love of Jesus to impact his life. And we had spoke about the Lord to him before, and we had mentioned about, why don't you try praying, why don't you try going to church, and just getting some peace in his life, because that's really what he was lacking. And all that time later that we saw him, he was looking so much better, I remember, and he was telling us that he'd started going to the Salvation Army, and that had really just changed his life, and he was going along to that every single week and just learning more about Jesus. And I couldn't tell you if he was still going to church just now, but at the time when I went back, fairly, I think it was about a year ago, they did their 10-year anniversary of Sterling Street Pastors, and he was still going to church and things like that. So it's quite amazing, because it can be discouraging when you see a person once and you have a really good conversation and you never see them again. You don't know what happens to that person. But I suppose for me, it's about having faith that it's just little seeds that you're sowing into a person's life, and you just don't know what that's going to do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, Carys. Wow. Just getting to be able to witness that transformation, and it's wasn't an overnight transformation for this gentleman, but just something that is impacted upon him over the course of time, and just great that you were able to be that listening ear, and just an encourager in his life. So that's really exciting. And Alistair, is there a moment, a memorable moment or experience from one of your patrols that you could share with us?
Yeah, I'd love to. I remember we were commissioned in October 2010, so 10 years ago. As Carys said, we're coming up for our 10th anniversary, which is going to be fantastic. And on the very first night that we went out, we were wondering, we were kind of guessing. We knew we'd been trained to go out, we had done all the background, but we actually didn't know what it was going to be like on the streets. And so as we started our patrol, we were a bit nervous. And when we got out in the streets, we talked to a few people until we got to Greenock Town Hall. Now, Greenock Town Hall, is the underpass, and in those days the underpass is open all the time. And as we walked through the underpass, we saw a young guy called Kyle, who was sitting on the steps of the town hall, who had been violently sick. He'd actually vomited on the steps of the town hall. He was so drunk that he couldn't use his own phone. His mates, he'd fallen out with his mates, and I suspect it was something to do with the amount of drink he'd had. His mates had deserted him. He was sitting out there on his own, and he was really intoxicated. And the whole role of street pastors comes into play. What do you do in a situation like that? And so that first night, one of the guys who was on patrol with me, Kyle's phone was lying on the floor, so we picked it up, and by chance we got access to his phone and was able to see on his list of contacts that he had one called Mum. And so we at I don't know what time it was, 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, we phoned Mum on behalf of Kyle, and Mum's answered the phone, and we explained the situation to Mum, and Mum said, right, I'll come right down and get him. And sure enough, within about 20 minutes or so, Kyle's mum had driven down to the town hall, and we'd managed to huckle Kyle from the town hall steps in his inebriated state, got him into the back of Mum's car, and who took him home safely. Now, I've never heard of Kyle again. I don't know where he stays. I never came across him again. But to me, it was almost like that was our first night, and it was almost like God was saying to us, that's why you're out there. It's for those people who can't look after themselves, or who are in distress, or who just can't get home and could be vulnerable. You're there for them, and it was such a wonderful sort of commissioning for us that, yeah, here's what God wants you to do. Just help those who need a bit of help.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, Alistair. It's just great to know that there is a team of volunteers out who are willing to help people who find themselves in vulnerable situations and perhaps don't even realise that they're in a vulnerable situation, but there are those out there looking out for them. And I'm sure that Kyle probably appreciated that, and certainly, you know his mum would have appreciated that as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing those experiences. There's just one more question that I wanted to ask, and that really was, if someone wanted to be able to support all the Inverclyde Street Pastors are doing, how could they do that? How would they go about being able to support the things that you're doing?
Yeah, there's a couple of strands to that. I mean, first thing is, Jen, that we are part of a big organisation, and Inverclyde is one initiative. There's around 300 stretched across the whole of the UK. So this isn't a small, isolated thing. You know, there are Inverclyde Street Pastors, not just in Inverclyde, but right across the United Kingdom, which is great. So 300 cities and towns have a presence of street pastors. Not only that, there's about 14,000 street pastors in the whole UK. I mean, so this is not a small organisation. This is a really, really large organisation, and it's, as you would expect, that large organisation supported by tools like the web, like local churches that help in terms of making the whole thing come together. If folk want to help, there's a couple of criteria for being a street pastor. A couple of criteria is that you need to be a Christian, so you need to have faith. You need to be a Christian. That would be our first criteria, being a Christian, and really the second criteria would be is that you really need to have a care, a concern for those in society that need help, and so if you've got those two kind of stands, then you're kind of halfway there. The third element would be, I guess, that you need to be over 18, and we would put through the normal checks, DPRS checks and all that kind of stuff, and checks that we would put volunteers through to make sure it was safe to do it in the streets. You know, if you want to contact us, the best way is through the Street Pastors website. The website actually has a portal for the UK's in general, but also has a portal for Greenup and for Inverclyde, and so you can actually be part of that, and you can join that, and you can get all the details about how to contact us. We've got an email address, we've got a phone number on that. You should feel free to contact us, and we'd love to hear from you. If you want to get involved, do that. If you want to make a donation, we do everything voluntarily. We're a charity. We don't get any government funding. You know, if folk want to donate to us, then they can do it through that website as well, or they can contact us through the website, and we'd love to hear from you. If you're a Christian and you would like to get involved, no matter what your age is, there's no maximum age for being a street pastor. If you would like to get involved, please get in touch with us through the website, inverclyde@streetpastors.org.uk, or give me a call, 0774 020 1853. Love to talk to you and love to share with you, and we could see how we move forward from there, Jen.
Alistair, thanks so much. Due to the joys of technology, we appear to have lost Carys, and I think we're going to be able to get her back. I think she might Have we got? Hey, we lost you for a minute, Carys. We've got you back.
Sorry about that. I thought you because your videos had frozen, and then I was like, oh no, I've lost internet.
Oh, don't worry. It's just the joys of technology. Well, I would just want to say thank you both very much for taking the time to come and share with the young people of Inverclyde who will be watching this video. I know that it's something that I find absolutely fascinating, Inverclyde Street Pastors. I think what you do is incredible. I think there's not a lot of people out there who would be willing to do what you do, but you do it because you're motivated by love, and that's just a really amazing thing for the people of Inverclyde. So I hope that those who watch today are be really interested to learn more about Inverclyde Street Pastors. But thank you both very, very much for coming in and sharing with us today.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks very much.
So much.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.